Hello everybody and welcome back to another Borderlands 3 Theorycraft build. This is another one for Moze and it's called the Vladof Vixen. Now that name might not make sense to you yet, but you'll see where that comes from as we get later into the build. A few things I just want to go over before we start is that a few of the ideas in this build are based entirely on theory, the things that I need to test in game to see how exactly they work, but based on the descriptions and the in-game gameplay I've seen, I think this is how they work and I hope it's how they work. Also, I do want to say that this is going to be more of an end game build. I do recommend my other build for leveling and this one for more end game content, as you really do need some specific gear and almost all of the skill points in place for this to work. I'm going to go over the skills as we go, but you may not understand why some of them are taken. I'm going to go over sort of a full overview of why I've taken what and how it works together at the end, so you'll see it come together. But to start with, we're going to add on our double grenade launchers, the V35 grenade launchers. I think they're really cool. I've seen a bit of gameplay of them. They look pretty awesome. We're going to go with them too. Then we're going to go with Grizzled. At 5 stacks, it's going to mean that every kill we get -5 seconds off of our cooldown time with diminishing returns. Now, I'm not exactly sure how much diminishing returns there is on that, but either way, it's going to be a really nice cooldown reduction for our Iron Bear, mean we get more uptime on that. Then we're going to go with Means of Destruction. That means that every time we deal splash damage, there's a chance that we get ammo added back into our weapons magazine and get grenades back, with a 10% chance for ammo and a 6% chance for grenades. Then we're going to put 3 into Torg Cross Promotion, giving us a 9% chance to double splash damage. With the amount of splash damage we're going to be dealing, that's going to be really, really useful. Next, we're going to equip this onto here, and also we're going to be going into Pull the Holy Pin. At 3 stacks, we get a 30% chance to deal a critical hit with our grenades. Now, this isn't affected by critical hit damage, but this is going to be a huge damage up for our grenades, which you're going to see how that plays into the build later on. Now we're going to go into Auto Bear, which is going to mean that every time we exit Iron Bear, it's going to stay active for 15 seconds and at the end explode, and in that 15 seconds, it's going to shoot the equipped grenade launchers at everything in sight. We're then going to equip our lock and speed load onto our second slot here. I'll go over why we've picked these a little bit later on. But then next, we're going to go into Vampire. With our grenades, for every enemy hit, we restore 20% of missing HP. That means just 5 enemies gets us back up to 100% HP. And that plays really nicely into the last, because if we get a grenade to hit while we're in fight for our life and get a kill with it, we restore that health. So if we hit 5 enemies while in fight for our life and kill just one of them, we come back to life with a second wind at full HP, which is going to be awesome. Then we're going to go into Explosive Percussion, which is going to work really well with Grizzled, as this is going to increase our cooldown rate by 25%. While we have dealt splash damage. So for a brief time after dealing splash damage, we get 25%, which we should hopefully have very high uptime on. And then, like I said, mixed with Grizzle is going to mean that we can get Iron Bear out on the field very, very often. Then we're going to go for the Capstone of Short Fuse. That is going to mean that whenever we deal gun damage, there is a secondary explosion centered at the target with a 20% chance of the explosion happening, and that explosion deals 75% of gun damage. And that is going to trigger things like Means of Destruction, it's going to trigger Explosive Percussion, and it's going to have the chance to be doubled in size. It's just going to work really well with a lot of skills we've got going on here. Then this is where the build really starts to take shape in the Bottomless mags tree. We're going to start off going for a matched set, and we're going to be wanting all Vladof equipment. So 4 Vladof weapons, a Vladof shield, a Vladof grenade, a Vladof class mod. If we could go for that, we could get a 70% increase in magazine size. The heat-based shot isn't actually that necessary, but 70% magazine size, that is, like I said, a theory of how high it can go. That would be insane. And then we're going to go into Redistribution. That's just going to give us a bit of ammo regen whenever we deal a critical, which is going to be really nice for those Vladof snipers, keeping our ammo high just in general. But like I said, Vladof snipers, really hard to keep ammo up for them, but they're really fun to use. So being able to get the ammo regen for that is going to be awesome. Then we're going to put 4 out of 5 into Cloud of Lead. That just means that every 5th shot is not going to consume ammo, which is going to work really nicely with our increased magazine size and Means of Destruction, just to keep that ammo coming, never have to reload, just keep going and going and going. And also the 9% fire damage, I don't tear my nose up at that, that is going to be nice. Then Scorching RPMs is just going to be a straight up damage up with 15% fire rate and 20% critical hit damage, very nice. Like I said, just a simple damage and fire rate upgrade. It's going to be great, especially with Redistribution, considering we're going to be dealing a lot of crits. Then we're going to go 4 out of 5 into the Iron Bank for an extra 28% mag size on top of the possible 70% for a match set. Going to be pretty awesome with that mag size. Basically, we're going to be doubling the magazine size of most guns, and we're also going to go into Specialist Bear as we are using the double grenade launcher combo for the 25% increased damage. And the last one we're going to go into is For the Road. Moze gains infinite ammo for 5 seconds after exiting Iron Bear. Now, let's go over this build a bit. So, first of all, I'm going to say that Iron Bear is going to have a lot of uptime. We're going to have a lot of reduction in her cooldown and taking off a lot of time off the cooldown itself. I believe Moze's Iron Bear has around a 1 minute 20 second cooldown, and with the 25% reduction, if we could ideally have it on 100% uptime, that's going to reduce that down to about 60 seconds from 80 seconds, which is really nice. And then, I don't know how this diminishing returns works, but I reckon with it, we can probably get it down, that cooldown down from about 60 seconds to around 45, 50 seconds. And then that means from the explosion of Auto Bear to the next Iron Bear use, there's only going to be around 35 seconds of time. And that means that we can trigger For the Road every 35 seconds-ish. Well, 45 seconds sort of thing. So that's pretty often to have 5 seconds of infinite ammo. And we could even really, if we wanted to, get in Iron Bear, then get straight out just for the infinite ammo. But where this really comes into play, and the reason, one of the biggest reasons that Vladof is our main manufacturer we're going for here, is this skill here. Now, this says Moze's grenades have a chance to score critical hits. Now, at first glance, you're like, yeah, cool. You throw a grenade, it has a chance to crit. But if you look at Vampire, it says, when Moze damages an enemy with a thrown grenade. This specifically states thrown, but Pull the Holy Pin doesn't. It just says grenades. Now, the devs have said that the V35 grenade launcher can be affected by class mods and relics, or as they're called in this game, artifacts. It can be affected by them that increase grenade damage. It won't be affected by your grenade mod, but anything that increases grenade damage will increase the grenade launcher's damage as well. That means that the under-barreled grenade launchers that Vladof weapons often have, if you didn't know in this game, Vladof weapons always have an under-barrel, and one of those under-barrels it can have is a grenade launcher. There's also some rocket launchers, some lasers, I think there's saw blades, but grenade launchers are the main one I'm focusing on here. That should mean that the Vladof under-barreled grenade launcher has a chance to score a crit, as do our V35s. Now, as I said, we're going to be having these two here. I think that while we're using the Auto Bear, which is going to be our main use of Iron Bear, we are going to stay in it from time to time when we need to put out a lot of DPS or we need more HP, because we aren't using the Shield of Retribution tree, so we aren't going to be as tanky as some of the other Moze builds, or even my previous one. But what we're going to be doing is hopping out. We're going to be using the musical chairs to use our singularity grenades to pull all the enemies into one, and then the Auto Bear is also going to be firing the lock and speed load, which is a 5-round burst of grenades with an even faster reload, and 5 times the grenades means even more chance for critical hits, meaning the critical hits are going to come more often, dealing more crits, and then every so often, every hopefully around 40 seconds, we're going to be able to trigger some For the Road, and trigger our grenade launcher that's attached to our Vladof underbarreled Vladof grenade launcher, and just spam out grenades really, really fast, all getting criticals, and more criticals, dealing tons and tons of damage, and it's all going to be dealing splash damage, which feeds into this, which means we can keep throwing grenades to keep getting Vampire, to keep getting our health back up. And then with a shield like Rough Rider, which is actually in the game, the Rough Rider shield has no capacity, but increases damage resistance and ups your maximum HP, or any other means to up your maximum HP. We could basically go for a build where we just throw grenades constantly, and constantly get in and out of Iron Bear, activating some For the Road and firing a grenade launcher off constantly, then getting back in Iron Bear, firing our V35 grenade launchers, then getting out and firing our Vladof grenade launcher. And then all of that can be mixed with, like I said, a Vladof sniper for dealing high crit damage, and also carrying on that ammo regen. And then we can get like a shredder fire for constant output of ammo because we've got this massive magazine size. We're going to be able to have absolutely huge 200, 300, 400 magazine sizes with some of these Vladof weapons, which is going to let us fire forever and keep going and get loads and loads of high damage. And we can get on infinite ammo with extra fire rate and just keep firing and then whip out that underbarrel grenade launcher or rocket launcher again and keep firing and firing. And I just think this build is going to be just absolutely beast, but it all relies on if pull the holy pin works with the underbarreled grenade launcher and the V35 grenade launcher. My theory on this saying thrown and this not saying thrown leads me to believe that will work. It leads me to believe that will work, but there is a chance it doesn't. But if it does, this build is solid. It is absolutely solid, and it's going to be amazing. I cannot wait. This is the Vladof Vixen build. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I hope you guys like it. If you've got any criticisms or you've got any thoughts or any reasoning why you think it wouldn't work, please let me know. I'm really interested to see. But yes, I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in Borderlands 3.